Hey guys, Frightener22 here, and welcome back to my January 6th DVD update. This is my first update for 2011, and this is like a long time coming. This is probably, I know I've said this before in a previous video, but this is definitely hands down probably my biggest DVD update of television shows, DVDs, and Blu Ray, so it's going to be really, really big. So, of course, you know, I just came into a lot of stuff over Christmas break. The 22nd of December was my birthday, so I had gotten a lot of birthday money coming in. So, of course, like any movie buff, all that money goes, of course, to DVD collecting, so that's exactly what I put my money into, and yeah, so this video actually, it's going to be a bit of an experiment, because as you guys know, there's been an upgrade to a lot of YouTubers' time limits in their making of the video, so I'm allowed to make videos over the 15-minute time limit, but the only thing that YouTube doesn't really specify is exactly how long in length this over 15-minute time limit is. So this video is going to be somewhat of an experiment to see really how long I'm allowed to, you know, how long I can actually make videos, because traditionally in all my previous DVD updates, I kind of give you guys a heads up during the last like 30 or 40 seconds that we're kind of running out of time, and we're gonna, go over to part 2 and whatnot. So, I mean, at any point, like, the video just cuts off without me indicating that there's a part 2, I guess, we'll have our answer as to what, if this time limit thing actually works or whatever, because I keep hearing mixed things on the internet and what have you, so, this video, I can guarantee that this video is probably could potentially be, 40 minutes or longer. So if the video just abruptly cuts off in the middle of me speaking, just look in the info box to see if there's a link for part 2, or just hop over to the DVD Updates playlist and look for part 2 of the January 6th DVD update. Okay, so enough bullshit, we're gonna get into this huge, gigantic wad of movies that's so overwhelming I don't really know what I'm going to do or say, because a whole shitload of them I haven't even been able to watch, which sucks. So this week, I'm just gonna close the curtains and just not do anything with my life except watch movies, so it's really not too different than what I do in my normal everyday life, which is awesome. So, moving on, the first thing that I have is, I'm a huge Hanna-Barbera fan, and I plan on seeing this movie, and I don't care what anybody says, because I'm sure I'm going to get ripped apart by a lot of you guys. I really want to go see Yogi Bear in 3D, and for all the haters out there, I've actually read that it is not as bad as people are saying it is, so I'm willing to give my hard-earned money to seeing Yogi Bear in 3D. So, with all that said, one of the few Hanna-Barbera animated shows that I did not have was the complete series of Yogi Bear. So I really wanted to get this, in order to kind of get me, extra excited to finally see the movie sometime this week or next week. But I scooped this up for like 20 bucks at Walmart, and it is hands down 20 bucks, really, really well spent. It's the entire run of the series, and it's just great. Hanna-Barbera, rarely does wrong in their massive collection of all the classic cartoons that they came up with over the years, and Yogi Bear's hands down one of the best ones. I crack up, so much at this show. I think Boo Boo and Yogi just kind of get themselves into so many numerous adventures in Jellystone Park, and it's just great. I think it's a fun time for all ages, and it's a shame because although the movie I'm gonna see it because I'm just like a devoted Hanna-Barbera fan, I'll see it, I just kind of worry that maybe kids aren't going to be getting the most out of it because they're seeing a movie to a cartoon character that isn't very relevant in today's culture. I mean, I feel if you went up to a lot of kids and you asked them who Yogi Bear was, they probably couldn't tell you, and I kind of have a fear that that's becoming, more and more commonplace for even the Looney Tunes. I mean, not so much, but I feel if you give it a few more years, you're going to find a lot of kids scratching their head as to who Speedy Gonzales or Pepe Le Pew is, but, yeah, this, hands down, is definitely one that should be bought if you're an animation junkie like myself, or if you're just, curious to see what Yogi Bear is all about. The next one I got, the next two actually I got, were birthday gifts from my best friend, which was totally awesome, and the first one was a set of films that I had been dying to get for a long time, because I had actually never seen this director's body of work, and he's always been hailed as, the American Hitchcock, so it was really an awesome thing that he picked this up for me for my birthday, and it is the William Castle Film Collection. Now this comes with a ton of his films. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 films plus a documentary on William Castle himself. So this was a real treat to get this for my birthday, and you know, sadly I've only watched one film, but you know, it's really exciting to cut into a box set from a filmmaker you've never seen, because it's really exciting to just see that first film and your first real exposure into like this filmmaker's imagination. So I actually did manage to watch one in the past few weeks, and that was Homicidal, and it was great. It's kind of, you know, some people hail it as a ripoff of Psycho, but it's way more than that. It's got a real twisty ending, great actors, and overall it's just great. It's very, you know, there's a great gimmick in it, which was, you know, what William Castle was really, you know, known for, especially during his heyday. But this is a great, great collection to have, and I am beyond excited to cut into more of his films, because I'm really getting hooked onto William Castle films, so definitely check that one out. The next one I got is a film that sadly is not being re-released by Shout's Roger Corman's Cult Classics line, so he managed to get me a brand new copy of this, because I'm kind of crazy about not buying used DVDs, so he managed to track down a brand new copy of Joe Dante and Alan Arkish's directorial debut, which is Hollywood Boulevard. This film is a ton of fun. At the time that this film was made, or at least prior to it, Joe Dante and Alan Arkish had made a bet with Roger Corman saying that they could, you know, make him the cheapest film for his company. So Corman took him up on the bet, and the budget for this film was about $60,000, intertwining a bunch of stock footage from films that Corman had already made or produced, and then involving, you know, somewhat of a plot in between. And the result is just comedy greatness. I mean, this is a really, really underrated gem from the 70s. I'm so happy to have this, because I'm a huge Joe Dante nut, as well as an Alan Arkish nut. I mean, he directed one of my favorite films of all time, Rock and Roll High School, and, you know, Joe Dante is just the man, so I'm really happy to have this. If you guys haven't seen this, you know, whatever your preference may be, tracking down a new copy or a used copy, this is a film that definitely needs to be seen. The next one I got is actually the first Blu-ray of this massive collection, and it comes courtesy from Synapse Films, and this was a really, really sought-out release that had never seen a legitimate DVD release ever, so it's really surprising to see that Synapse went all out to offer a Blu-ray DVD combo of the classic Hammer horror picture Vampire Circus. Now, as much as I'm a horror junkie, and I kind of, you know, have my hands in every genre I take a stab at, I've surprisingly never had watched a Hammer horror movie, which is really crazy to imagine. So I really wanted to pick this up just based on, you know, all the background and the history that I had heard about it, just kind of knowing that it was this, you know, sought-after, film that had never seen a legitimate release. It's very weird and stuff like that, so people were like, it's kind of risky if you've never seen a Hammer movie and you're going to make Vampire Circus your first film choice, because it could really go either way. But taking that all into account, I got this film, and I totally fell in love with it. It's everything, you know, that I had heard about. It's weird. There's just, you know, a lot of odd things going on in it with, you know, with vampires and this great circus background, which is a theme that I really, really love in films. I love the movie Freaks. I love this film. So just seeing the carnival atmosphere implemented in films is something that I just really admire and I really dig. And Vampire Circus is a film that really does it really well. So this is a film that if you guys are big Hammer horror fans, or if you've never, like myself, had never been introduced to it, I highly recommend checking this one out. Synapse did a really, really phenomenal job on the print. It looks great, and this thing is stacked with special features. Right after I watched the film, I cut into all the special features, and all of them are fantastic. So this is the first Blu-ray. This was actually the 100th release for Synapse Films, and this is their first Blu-ray DVD combo, which, of course, they have more in the pipeline for the upcoming year, which is really exciting. But yeah, this is absolutely one to pick up. The next two that I had got, I basically got because I had a gift card, and these were just films that I loved growing up. I still love them today, but I just never had gotten around to picking them up. And the first one is the 1988 classic Disney film, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You know, it's an incredible film. I love this film. Rick Moranis is at, like, the top of his game on this. Joe Johnston, this was actually Joe Johnston's directorial debut, and he was, at the time, he was an Oscar winner, you know, working in special effects, but he's actually gone on to a pretty prominent career directing. Like I said, this was his directorial debut, but then he went on to direct such films as Jurassic Park 3, Hidalgo. He did the 2010 remake of The Wolfman, and currently he's filming Captain America for Marvel. So, yeah, he went on to do some really big things, but, you know, you can never forget his first film. This is a, you know, really, really great film, and I love it incredibly. I just kind of wish that it would get a better treatment on DVD. I mean, this is the same edition that's been floating around for years. It's full screen. There's no special features, so, you know, with inevitable remake in the pipeline for this film, and this, you know, just kind of squeaking by on its 20th anniversary, I kind of would hope that with, you know, an eventual remake, that a better release or a Blu Ray of this would come out, because I'd pick it up. I don't know how necessary it is for everybody, but I would. While I was picking that up, I also got the double feature 2 DVD set of its sequels, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Now, to go off on a bit of a tangent, I fucking hate this shit. I really do, and it really brings my piss to a boil that they do this, because this is the same shit that these collections had done on the Batman, that animated double feature that I bought that had Sub-Zero and Mask of the Phantasm. And the gripe with it is that on this DVD, they have Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves first, and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid second. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the issue with that? Well, the issue is that Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves was the third one, and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid was the second one. I don't understand, like, they're not putting a lot of, you know, effort into putting these out. You know, they're putting 2 DVDs and, you know, kind of doubling up on them, which is fine. So if it's going to be such a, you know, a lazy release for you, like, are you that lazy to not know which one is first, like, as far as which film came out first? Like, I just think that's so careless and lazy of the, you know, of the film company to do that. So it really, really annoys me that the third one is billed first, so you just think, oh, that must be the second one or the first one. So people that have never seen this series might watch them out of context, which is really annoying, but, you know, it's just a major, like, DVD collecting gripe, and I know that I'm not alone on that one, but I just really have to get that one out and kind of clear the win. But they're decent sequels. I mean, I actually enjoy the direct-to-video third movie over the second one. I don't really know why, but I just always favored that one more than the second one. Moving into more Blu-rays, like I had said, December 22nd was my birthday, so my sisters had picked up 2 Blu-rays for me. The first one was a Blu-ray DVD combo of one of my favorite films of the year, and it's sure to be in the Oscar race. It's like a shoo-in for a lot of Oscar nominations, and it's Christopher Nolan's masterpiece, Inception. I had done a much more thorough review of this film in the At the Movies playlist over the summer, but yeah, I haven't checked out the Blu-ray, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about, you know, the quality and care that went into it, which is to be expected with such a high-profile release. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen this, this is a real mindfuck of a movie. It's really incredible. Christopher Nolan just kind of really continues to outdo himself with every film that he continues to roll out, and this is probably his best film to date, so definitely check that one out. The next one that my sisters had gotten me was the last Pixar Blu-ray at this point in time that is available, but I just didn't have yet, and it's the 2007 flick Ratatouille. You know, I'm a huge Pixar fan, big animation junkie, and although I didn't think the world of Ratatouille, I thought that there was a lot of quality things in it. I thought the set, you know, just, you know, the whole set design that they had done in that film was really, really mind-blowing. One of the best, you know, set layouts that any of the Pixar films had ever seen. But then again, I've only watched this film once, so I wanted to add it into the Blu-ray collection. So I'll definitely be revisiting this one sooner rather than later, just because I just want to give it another chance, because it's not that I hated it, it's just like it wasn't Monsters, Inc. or Toy Story for me, let's just put it that way, so I'm happy to have it. The next one I had gotten was another birthday gift, and it is the Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg film, Zombieland. This is the Blu Ray of it. I hadn't had this one in the collection for quite some time, so I was really happy to finally obtain this one. I really dug this film. The majority of people really enjoyed it. It was a real sleeper hit when it came out. I didn't catch it in theaters. I had Netflixed it when it finally came out. It's just been one of those films that, the price was always kind of going up and going down, and then I managed to get it at a time when it was low. So I'm happy to have it. The next one that I had gotten, I'm just a big fan of I say this in like every DVD update, so there's no point in repeating it, but I'll repeat it anyway. I'm a huge fan and devoted collector of Shout's Roger Corman's Cult Classics line, and although I had picked this up on Blu-ray, if there's a Blu-ray and a DVD counterpart to it, I'll pick up both because I just really believe in supporting companies that are putting out a quality product to ensure that I'm doing my part to see more releases from them. So this DVD just did not want to fucking come down in price for like months. So I was trolling Amazon like daily for it. So thankfully, just like a week or two ago, it dropped from like $18.99 to $10.99, and it's back up at $18.99. So I scooped it up within like the 2 days that they had it. But it is the 2-disc collector's edition of Starcrash. So this is a really, really fun one. I talked a little bit more in detail about it when I had showed the Blu-ray counterpart of it, but yeah, this is a really, really fun Italian kind of Star Wars ripoff, but much cooler. I don't really care for Star Wars. I would totally pop on Starcrash any day over Star Wars, but yeah, it's fun. Carolyn Monroe is in it, David Hasselhoff, Joe Spinell. It's a ton of fun. Just really, really cool time. The next three are Blu-rays. So there was a really cool sale on Amazon. Just these really great classic fantasy films on Blu-ray had dropped to like $7.99, and I just didn't have them in any form in my collection. So for that price, I had to scoop them up. So the first one I got was Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal. I've only watched this film once, and although it didn't blow me away, I am really excited to go back to it and kind of, just give it a second try, because, I mean, this film has, a lot of people don't really put it down for not being a classic. People definitely agree that it's a real achievement in Jim Henson's body of work, but, some people argue that it gets a little too dramatic for its own good at times, but maybe that was, the reason that maybe I didn't enjoy it the first time, but I fucking love Jim Henson. I love the Muppets. I love everything that guy does. So just because I didn't, fall in love with it the first time doesn't mean that I've given up all hope on The Dark Crystal. I'm excited to return to it and see, just kind of see that, like, what I maybe missed or whatnot. But, I did, enjoy it. I just didn't, I just didn't fall in love with it like most of Jim Henson's work that I had seen previously. But nonetheless, I'm really happy to have this one. The next fantasy title that I also scooped up for $7.99 was a classic, David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly starring in another Jim Henson production, Labyrinth. This is fantastic. I absolutely love this movie. This is probably one of my favorite fantasy-esque films, and of course it comes from the imagination of Jim Henson, so, you can never really go wrong with that, and this is just a solid, solid film. I mean, 20 plus years later, it still holds up, and it's just incredible. It's a really great film to have. And the last one I had gotten was, I have the DVD of it, but I just really enjoy Fred Decker's work, and the Blu-ray of this, I've been meaning to buy the Blu-ray, because I have the DVD and the Blu-ray of the Monster Squad, so, there was a big sale on this. I believe it was like $10, so I just scooped up the director's cut of Night of the Creeps. If you haven't seen this film, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's like a B-movie classic from 1986. I actually had done a review of this during my 2009 31 Frightening Days of Halloween marathon, as well as a review of the Monster Squad, Fred Decker's follow-up to this film. But this film is incredible. It's got Tom Atkins, Jason Lively, and it's just, it's great. Like, it's probably one of the best B-movies from the 80s, or, in general. It's a bold statement, but yeah, I'm gonna say in general. Like, it really is that much fun. So, if you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're waiting for. Again, being a big supporter of the Roger Corman line, I picked up the last film in their collection up to this date that I needed, so I'm totally caught up. I have them all, and I'm anxiously awaiting their January releases, but this is their latest double feature that people were kind of complaining because it was only released as part of the Shout Select line, which is you can only get it directly through Shout Factory's website or, like, you know, Amazon dealers. Nobody else is selling it but Shout, or people that obtain it through Shout and then resell it or whatnot. But I bought it, and I'm really happy that I have it in the collection, and it is the double feature of The Warrior and the Sorceress and Barbarian Queen. Now, I did manage to actually watch both of these films, and they're really, really fun. I've never really had too much exposure into the sword and sandal genre, but this was a great kind of introduction to them, if you will. Warrior and the Sorceress stars David Carradine, and it's fun. I believe it was released in 1984, but the real gem of this one was actually Barbarian Queen for me. I just really enjoyed it. Lena Clarkson is in it, as well as Kat Shea, and it just, you know, it's like 10 minutes shorter than Warrior and the Sorceress. It's like 71 minutes, and, you know, there's just a lot more action going on. The story kind of goes a little bit quicker. You know, the chicks are beautiful in it, so it's cool. I mean, I really dug that. Barbarian Queen was definitely the better film for me on this double feature, so although people, you know, fans of this were kind of like, oh, well, you know, that sucks, like, they want to own it because, you know, they just are completists of the collection, but, you know, they just were bummed that they couldn't get it anywhere. But for people that are really pissed off about this, don't fret too much, because Shout Factory is actually going to repackage these two films into a quadruple pack this year. That's going to include these two films as well as Deathstalker and Deathstalker 2. So, of course, you can bet that in a future DVD update, once that's released, I will own that too. So I'll be owning these films twice. But, you know, for people that, you know, really do want this, just hold out a little bit more, and that quadruple pack will be coming soon. There hasn't been a set-in-stone date for that, but it is coming. So you guys will be able to obtain these two films eventually if you don't want to order through Shout Select. Moving on, this was a film, you know, I'm a big Roger Corman fan, and although I was just kind of on, you know, a tangent of buying films that I kind of know, I know for a fact that they aren't going to be getting re-releases by Shout's Roger Corman lineup, so I kind of took it upon myself to kind of go and find, you know, other films that weren't going to be getting a re-release. And the first one that I had got was Barbarian Queen 2, The Empress Strikes Back. Now, I picked this up just because, you know, it's obviously a sequel, but not so much. It's really only a sequel in name, and it does, you know, star Lena Clarkson again, so you're kind of wondering, well, how is it not a sequel? Apparently it's not. I haven't watched it yet, but that's apparently what I'm reading, is that, yeah, it's a sword and sandal movie. It stars the same chick from Barbarian Queen 1, but it's apparently a completely different story and has no connection to the first film. So either way, it bared the name. It's another sword and sandal movie, and if it's anywhere on the same level as the original Barbarian Queen, then I'm interested, because I did really enjoy that film. So either way, I'm happy to have that. The next film I got was just a real impulse buy. I was kind of annoyed that I didn't have this in the collection, so I kind of just bit the bullet and finally picked it up, so I'm happy that I did. And it is a classic film from the 80s, Night of the Comet. If you guys haven't seen this, it's a really cool film. It's a real, like, you know, last humans on Earth kind of thing, and it's a lot of fun. Catherine Mary Stewart stars in this. She was actually in The Last Starfighter from 84 with Lance Gasso, which was actually directed by Nick Castle, who played the original Michael Myers in the very first Halloween, and he went on to a directing career of his own. He directed, you know, of course, The Last Starfighter, Dennis the Menace, as well as, you know, a bunch of other films. So, but yeah, this is a really, really fun film. I'm sure plenty of people out there have seen it, but if you haven't, this is a really fun film to check out. Moving back to other Roger Corman productions that aren't going to be seeing a re-release, I picked up these two, and I was actually really surprised that they weren't going, at least at this point in time, they have no intentions of re-releasing them, which, you know, surprised me, because they did, Shout did put out the 3 Slumber Party Massacres in a collection, and I thought these two films were just a shoo-in. interestingly enough, I've never seen them, and that was, you know, really the big drive to own them. So they are the Sorority House Massacre movies. This is the first one, and like I said, I haven't gotten around to watching it, but I'm just, you know, I'm still surprised that Shout has no intentions of putting these out, because I just feel like these are, you know, these would satisfy a lot of the slasher fans of the 80s that admired, you know, Corman's work. The Slumber Party Massacre trilogy is like a real gem, but these two films seem to be right up in there. Of course, that was the original, and then this is Sorority House Massacre 2, from which I've heard is, again, not really a sequel. It's just kind of like a name, you know, a name-only sequel. And this is actually directed by Jim Wynorski, who directed the really great and underrated Chopping Mall, as well as Deathstalker 2. So, you know, you'll be seeing some of his work in the Cult Classics line. He also directed the 1988 remake of Not of This Earth with Tracy Lords, which is available now through Shout. I own that. I had shown that in a previous DVD update. Now, another one that I had never seen before, but this was just another impulse thing, but I was like, I want to have it in the collection. I haven't seen it, so, you know, I just want to add it in there. And it was cheap. It was like $9, and this was like the first, like, real horror comedy, or a horror comedy spoof, rather, that came out, like, in you know, horror's heyday of the 80s, and it's Student Bodies. I haven't gotten around to watching this, so this was a real impulse thing, but, you know, I've heard good things about it through friends and just, you know, online, so it was just one of those things where I was, you know, I was curious about it, I wanted to add it into the collection, and here I am holding it now, so I'll get to it one of these days. Of course, while I'm a huge supporter of Shout Factory's Roger Corman's Cult Classics line, I'm also another huge supporter of Code Red DVD. Now, I know a lot of people have their gripes with them, saying that, yeah, they announce certain DVDs, such as Nightmare Maker, Butcher Maker, and they don't follow through with them, and they go on tangents and stuff like that, but, you know, it's just, like, you have to strip it down to, like, you know, what are people really complaining about? They're really complaining about a DVD that just hasn't met its release date, and yeah, granted, like, sometimes the Code Red guys kind of run their mouth and say things, and they don't come to fruition, but it's like, what are you gonna do? I mean, like, if it comes out, it comes out, and that's, like, the best case scenario. If it doesn't, you should just really, you know, take a look back and just look at their really impressive catalog of obscure gems that no other company would ever release. And, you know, some people might think that they're shit. Overall, I'm like 6 films or less away from owning their entire catalog up to this point, and I'm actually pretty proud of that. I think that they are, you know, one of the most unique and coolest DVD distributors for genre fans out there today, so I love collecting their stuff, so I have a bunch of titles from them. And the first one that I actually have from them is a real cool 70s drive-in gem, and it's Pets. Now, this girl right here is going to look really familiar because she's Candy Rylson. She's actually the leading lady in Joe Dante and Alan Arkush's directorial debut Hollywood Boulevard, and I believe, yeah, she did Pets before she did Hollywood Boulevard, so this was really like her first starring role, I believe, but this was a cool one. I mean, it's the print was actually, and they, you know, Code Red does apologize for it, but the print that they had to use was the only, like, usable print that they could find was a real, like, grindhouse print. So it's a little scratchy, you know, it's got that real grindhouse thing. It's not the greatest print, but for a film like this, I feel like that kind of adds to the spirit and the vibe of the film. So it was kind of welcomed. I did enjoy viewing the film, you know, even with that cruddy print. But, yeah, this is a weird film, but it's cool. I mean, it's very, like, typical 70s exploitation, but it's a ton of fun. I did really enjoy this one. And I believe that according to Code Red, that specific title is only limited to 1,500 copies, which seems like a lot, and I'm sure that there's, you know, plenty to go around, but, you know, it's just, that's another, if you're interested about it, that's another good thing to keep in mind if you're thinking about it, and you might not want to sit on it too long. Well, we will be getting into more Code Red titles later on in the DVD update, but I did get a bunch of other stuff before we get back into those. The next one I got, my local FYE is actually closing down, and although they're ridiculously overpriced. They're closing down, so there's a lot of sales going on right now. So I managed to not get a crazy good savings, but, you know, even with tax, I saved a few dollars more than I would if I had gotten this off Amazon. So it's a Shout Factory's release of Ivan Reitman's horror film Cannibal Girls. And this stars a young Eugene Levy, and I believe this is from, like, 1973, but yeah, I haven't gotten around to watching this because I just got this really recently, and I just have a ton of shit I'm trying to get to. But yeah, this is it seems like an interesting one. I think people are kind of on the fence with it. Some people love it. Some people are kind of like, it's a waste of time. But it seems interesting, and, you know, if Shout's behind it, you know, I think that alone kind of has me hooked, because I love Shout's products. So, and this is one that has actually been pretty sought after on DVD, so it was really cool. Like, I knew that this hadn't seen, like, a legitimate DVD ever, or if it had, it hasn't been on the market for some time now. So, you know, coming from, you know, the hands of Shout Factory, this is definitely a welcome addition in my collection. The next one I had gotten, I was at FYE again, and I got this pretty cheap. It was like $11, and I kept hearing things about it, and although this is not, from what I've heard at least, it's not like the greatest trailer compilation, but it's a real, like, time capsule of, like, the 1980s kind of shot on video, VHS boom kind of feel to it. And it's like a trailer compilation DVD, and it's Matt Ron's Previews from Hell. And it's, from what I've heard, it's weird. It's like a guy with, like, a ventriloquist sitting in, like, a cobwebbed out, like, theater as he's viewing all these really oddball horror trailers, like I Drink Your Blood, Deranged, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 3 on a Meat Hook, Deep Red, Sisters, among many, many more. I mean, there's a ton on here. So, I mean, for $11, it's got killer artwork. It's a real, you know, lost gem from the 80s that, like, people would probably never think that they would ever be holding a legitimate DVD copy of it. So, you know, in that respect, I'm really happy to have it, because it is, you know, a real time capsule. So I will be really excited to just kind of put this on, you know, when I'm just kind of bored. Moving on, I love this show. I'm actually going to move this gigantic stack of the DVDs that we've already shown. But the next one that I got is actually a Blu-ray, and I had to get it because I own all 5 seasons of the original television show, and I did not, you know, like, what a shitty fan, I did not go and see this film when it was out theatrically over the summer, but the Blu-ray, you know, didn't come out too long ago, and then, like, within the course of, like, 3 weeks or so after its release, it dropped down to a really, really reasonable price of, like, $12.99 on Amazon, and I think you can still get it for that price, so for that, I couldn't hesitate. And this is the unrated extended cut of the A-Team. I heard mixed things, but, like, from what I was hearing, you know, from, you know, pretty decent sources, was that this was actually a really, really fun action film. You know, and I don't know what people were expecting. I mean, I just don't think the audiences were really, you know, running out to the theaters this summer. Well, you know, although it wasn't, like, a packed summer of crazy things every single week that, like, you just couldn't make up your mind what to see. There was a lot of decent stuff this summer, like Toy Story 3 and Inception, Piranha, and then there was, like, a bunch of stuff that I, you know, passed up at the theater that I wish I wouldn't have. Like Prince of Persia was another one that just nobody went and saw, and I got it on Blu-ray. I enjoyed it. The Sorcerer's Apprentice was another one that just, you know, nobody went out to see, but I saw it in theaters, and I got the Blu-ray, and I really enjoyed that too. But yeah, the A-Team, I still haven't watched yet. I just got this recently, but being a big lover of the television show, I can't imagine this, you know, failing too much, because the cast seems really great. I love the director, Joe Carnahan, and, yeah, just being a big fan of the show, this just seemed like, you know, based on the trailers, like they, you know, got a lot of the elements of the A-Team right. Moving back to another Code Red title, this is one that I just needed to keep filling out, the catalog, and this is from the 70s, and it sounds pretty interesting. It's a film called Rivals, and, you know, it just sounded pretty cool from the synopsis. This is like a Code Red title that I don't really hear too many people speak about, and I'm actually really, really intrigued to check this one out. The tagline on it says, "A man who wanted more than a wife, a boy who wanted more than a mother." So, from what I can gather, and, you know, from the synopsis on the back, it's about, you know, a boy, you know, and his mother have a really tight relationship, and then the mother ends up getting a boyfriend, and then the kid's just kind of psychotic. Apparently it's the same kid that played, you know, from Bad Ronald, that apparently played Ronald, I assume. So yeah, he gets like really overprotective and I guess like wants to off the new boyfriend, what have you. So it seems pretty cool and, you know, kind of like a real offbeat kind of thing that Code Red puts out, but that's exactly what I love about Code Red, is their just never-ending, you know, kind of need to just do something different with each and every release. Although it's not something that, like, they may have announced, it's still shit that's worth checking out and learning more about, because nobody is putting this shit out, only Code Red. I really got into more, like, exploitation stuff that I just wanted to check out. So this was one that was, you know, pretty low on, you know, the price went down, and it's the special edition of Bonnie's Kids. I've read and heard a ton of stuff about this really cool 70s exploitation film, and, like, based on what it's about, it seems like it's right up my alley, but I don't really have too much to say about it since I haven't watched it, but I'm definitely going to get around to getting to this within the next week, because I've been meaning to get this ever since it came out, I believe September. The next one I got is actually from Scorpion Releasing, and I believe Code Red was originally supposed to put this out, but then it ended up in the hands of Scorpion Releasing, but either way, it's out now, and it's the 1986 film Zombie Nightmare, which stars the likes of Adam West, you know, of course, Batman from the 1960s television show, and Tia I forget how you pronounce her last name, Carreri, but, you know, she plays Cassandra in Wayne's World, and she was also in True Lies. So, this is cool. It's a goofy, you know, really goofy, you know, kind of a shitty horror film, but it's fun. Like, it's good bad. It's very good bad. So, yeah, it's a fun time. There's a pretty killer soundtrack. You get Motorhead and Girl School, and of course Thor, because John Michael Thor from Rock and Roll Nightmare is also starring in this one. But, on the front cover, it says that Pantera's music is featured in this, but throughout the whole film, maybe I just wasn't, you know, listening too much, but I just didn't hear it. And even in the opening credits, they don't mention anything about Pantera being in it. So I got to do a little bit more research and see if they actually are in it and I just misheard, or if that is just a little bit of a typo. I don't know. So, also getting back into more, you know, Corman Productions that won't be seeing re-releases from the Shout Factory line, was another, like, a horror kind of comedy spoof, if you will. And it's, you know, I was kind of surprised because, you know, this has been out of print for a while, so I scooped it up brand new. And it is Saturday the 14th. I've always been intrigued from this cover art and just, like, the whole kind of goofy play on the whole Friday the 13th ripoff title, but I've never seen this, but, you know, with them not doing a re-release, I figured, you know, what the hell, it's probably the best time if I can, you know, pick up a new copy, of course, and just be able to add this into, like, my Corman collection. I was happy to do it. And of course it had a sequel, although it came like 7 years later after the fact, but this is Saturday the 14th Strikes Back, so of course I'm not going to watch a sequel out of context. I haven't gotten to this one yet, but I scooped up both of them at the same time, brand new. So like I said, if they're not going to be seeing, you know, a Shout Factory re-release, then, you know, I may as well settle for a brand new copy of its original DVD. Now, back into the final stretch of movies. This is, you know, nothing but Code Red titles. So, like I said, at the time of me filming this video, I believe I'm only 6 films shy of owning their entire catalog up until this point. I mean, they have a lot of releases coming in, you know, the month of January, well into the month of February, so I kind of got to get in that so I don't, you know, fall too far off the map. But moving on to the stack of Code Red titles that I just added into my collection, the first one I have is the uncut European version of The Visitor. Now, this was a film that a lot of people have been wanting for a long, long time, so this is actually one that I don't really know much about other than what I've been reading on the back art, but I'm really happy to own it because just based on it being so sought out by people, this is one that I can't wait to get into. I just hear really, really good things about it. I just heard that it's a weird fucking movie, and that's totally up my alley, so I'm really excited to own this one. It seems like it's really cool, and it's the uncut European version, which apparently is the more preferred one compared to, I guess, American releases, which probably cut shit out because that's just, the way shit happens. The next one that I got is, I just heard, my friend just kind of raves about this to me, so I'm just really happy to have this one and really cut into it, and it is Slithis. Just, awesome cover art, really, really goofy, cool creature design that they have, and, he's told me that it seems like it's a little slapstick at times because, after all, the rating on the back is, it's rated PG, but he was telling me how, like, it's really unexpected how violent and gory it is at times, so I'm gonna be really excited to really be caught off guard by that, but I've just, he kind of just been raving and raving about this film to me, so this is one Code Red title that I'm really excited to check out as well. The next one is actually another one that, I've been hearing a lot about, and I've been wanting to own it, and again, my friend was kind of just being like, if you're gonna keep stocking up on the Code Red, make sure you get this one, like, ASAP, so I ended up getting it, and it's, this is the first time that this film has ever been released uncut, so it's another, I'm really thankful that Code Red put this out, especially in the uncut format, and it is horror high. Great poster art, I love that, I love the colors that they used on this, and, yeah, it's apparently, it stars apparently one of the guys that starred in the original Assault on Precinct 13, John Carpenter's film. But yeah, I've just heard that this one is really, really cool. I think it's somewhat in the vein of like Slaughter High, like a geek, gets messed with by people and then he kind of comes back and does, offs them in really heinous ways. So that sounds right up my alley. But yeah, it sounds like a good time and I've heard nothing but good things. The next one I watched is the only one out of this whole group that I have managed to get to. I just watched it like the other night, and it's actually directed by Stephanie Rothman, who has a small body of work, but she's pretty renowned for for the little body of work that she has. She's offered genre fans a ton. She did the first Student Nurses picture for Roger Corman, and then she has two other films that are actually going to be coming out in February, courtesy of Code Red again, and those are The Working Girls and Group Marriage. If you own some of the recent Code Red DVDs and flip through their trailer sections, you probably have seen the trailers, but this was this is the one that Code Red had just recently put out, and it's Terminal Island. This is a ton of fun. This film is from 1973. The print is really great on it, and it's really cool. It's like Lord of the Flies meets Death Race 2000 is the best way I can explain it. It's basically the Supreme Court has basically gotten rid of the death penalty and has used an island known as Terminal Island as the dumping ground for all, like, murder convicts. So it's basically cost-effective for the government, so they're all dumping them there, and it's basically a group of bad murderers and then a group of, free-minded good murderers that are kind of like on their own side of the island away from them, and then it's like 40 men to 4, so of course the bad murderers take the 4 women and make them their sex slaves and stuff until the free-minded good guys of the movie, which include a really young Tom Selleck, recapture them and, keep them in there, and then they kind of make a plan to off, the leaders, Bobby and Monk of the bad gang. So it's really, really cool. I really enjoyed the hell out of this one. Like I said, the print is really great. It's exploitation fun at its best. The special features include like a 20-minute interview with the character, the actor Sean Kenny, who plays Bobby in the film, and like another 20-minute interview with Don Marshall. So the special features are really, really great on this one. So if there's any Code Red title that I can, truthfully recommend to you is this one, because A, I've seen it and I really enjoyed the shit out of it, so check it out. The next one that I had got is another one that was recommended to me, and I'm really, really excited to get into this one. I'll probably watch this one this weekend, and it's Primal Rage. It's from 1988, I believe. It's from an Italian director, and I just heard that it's really great. A lot of 80s, you know, really prominent 80s, you know, lifestyle and atmosphere in this. A lot of 80s music and stuff like that, so it seems like it's a really fun time, and it's a killer box art. I mean, if you're not, you know, kind of intrigued, at least a little bit, just from the DVD cover, then you should probably get your eyes examined, because this seems like it's a ton of fun. Like I said, all the next ones I really don't have much to comment on, because I just got them either in the mail today or yesterday, so I've had no time to watch them, so I'm just kind of gonna graze through them. The next one is The Carrier. I believe this is this is the 43 spine numbered release from Code Red. This one is cool. I've actually heard really great things about it. You know, it's kind of similar. You know, it seems like they make a really big statement, kind of like you can kind of tell that this was a film that was kind of a response to the whole AIDS panic and epidemic that was, you know, really hot off the press in the 80s at the time of this film's release. So I've heard, you know, really interesting things about it. So this is like a real like diamond in the rough in Code Red's catalog from what I've been hearing, so I'm excited to check that one out. The next one is a film that I haven't heard like the greatest things about it. People are saying it's decent at best, but nothing really too flattering, and it's the first one over Code Red's post-apocalyptic collection, they're hailing it as, and this one is Exterminators of the Year 3000. It's got a great title, it's got a great cover art, but, you know, it could kind of be, you know, I can't really judge it because I haven't seen it, but great title, great box art. That could be like that whole like VHS scheme to kind of lure you into thinking you're getting a great product, and then you watch it and it turns out to be a real piece of shit. But I really can't comment on it yet, but, you know, on the surface, it seems like it could be cool. It seems. I don't know yet. The next one I got is, this is actually a cool one to have, because I believe that this is, this may be the first time that this is uncut too. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that this is probably the best release of this film, or at least maybe the first time it's ever been legitimately released in America. But it seems really cool, and this one is called The Dead or Alive. Another great box art. Just like look at that. Although I have read that the box art is a little misleading to what the plot of the film is really about, but you can't deny how cool that box art is, and if you think that, you know, like, the plot is gonna lure you in over that box art, you're mistaken. But, you know, like, from what from what I can browse across, you know, the synopsis seems cool, so, you know, I'm definitely gonna be interested in checking this one out soon, too. The next one I got is actually one that I kind of, even when I put all these orders in, I'm kind of like, if I'm gonna watch any Code Red movie, like, soon, I think this is going to be one of the first ones I check out. And this is actually it surprised me, because when you look up the DVD cover on websites, you don't see the banner, and then when I opened it today from the mail, I was like, wow, this is actually part of that post-apocalyptic collection banner that Code Red put Exterminators of the Year 3000 in as well. And this is from 1985, and it's got Eric Estrada in it from Chips, and this one is called Light Blast. This one just seems awesome, because Eric Estrada is awesome, and Chips is awesome, but it just seems cool. It just seems like a goofy, kind of over-the-top, sci-fi-esque action movie with Eric Estrada in it. I mean, I love that poster. I actually saw that poster, tried to find it on eBay, and all I could find was like a Yugoslavian version, and I would love to just own an original poster of this, even without seeing the movie before. For all I know, this movie could be an utter piece of shit, but there's just something about that poster art that just really, you know, lures me in. So I feel like I'll probably be getting to this one within the next few days, because I'm just like, I need to see what this one is all about. Like, I'm just so curious. And the final DVD for this massive DVD collection that's basically ran 50 minutes, if it hasn't, you know, if it doesn't get rejected from YouTube or whatever. The last one is the 35th spined release from Code Red, and this one is called Night Child. And It was released in 1975, so this was, of course, another film that was playing off the massive success of The Exorcist. It's, you know, kind of playing on that, blah, I have a child and she's possessed, or she's got fucked up shit going on with her. There's a lot of these going on in the 70s, and who, you know, how can you blame people for wanting to rip off The Exorcist? It made a ton of money, so it just kind of opened up this whole floodgate for impersonators. Some fared better than others, such as The Omen, and others just kind of fell into, you know, obscurity. And this seems to be one of them, because I've never ever heard of this one, but I am absolutely intrigued. You know, I just love creepy kid movies, especially if, you know, possession is involved in them. And in this film, the only noticeable name that I can see is Joanna Cassidy from Blade Runner and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and she played Rose and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. So, you know, that's cool. I mean, I met her and she's really cool. So, all, you know, like I said, I really enjoy this subgenre of creepy kid possession films, and like I said, I had never heard about this until Code Red announced that they were putting it out, so this was another one to add to the collection, and I can't wait to check it out. Well, guys, I appreciate you so much for tuning in to this massive DVD collection. I mean, I've just been sitting on it for a while, and I knew that I just wanted to get it out there before, you know, I just continued to build and build and build, because, of course, I just showed you all that, but that doesn't mean that I don't have about 500,000 pre-orders on Amazon right now, and stuff coming in like every other week, it seems, in the mail, so I just don't know when to stop. I'm like a junkie with DVDs, and I don't really see that ever stopping, and that's good for you guys, because apparently you guys can't get enough of the DVD updates, because that's all I get from you guys is where's the next DVD update, so I'm happy to present you guys with, you know, what seems to be my longest DVD update ever. So once again, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, subscribing, be sure to comment, all that good stuff. And, you know, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to private message me. Plenty of you guys do that, and I'm always quick to respond or answer any questions that you guys have for me. So absolutely, you know, hit me up on that too. So once again, thanks again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in a future video. This has been Frightener22.